And we'll get going. Thank you, Nathan. I was telling Nathan that I basically spent the weekend with Bridget. Are either of you into Celtic spirituality? Chandra, you are. Um, well, I did a really nice retreat with a woman who knows quite a lot and has written a lot about um, Celtic history, really. So I feel, you know, Bridget's right here. And I ordered this, which came today, my Bridget's cross, and our retreat was it was virtual, but it was because we're iced in here still. I mean, we've got like 3 or 4 inches of ice that's trying to melt. Um, our retreat was like the four arms of Bridget's cross. It was really quite nice. So I'm going to share um, my slides, and I think I can still share. I don't think I stopped sharing. You'll have to tell me if you don't see my. Are you getting anything? Are you seeing my slides? Anybody?
Not yet.
Not yet. Thanks. All right, then I'll try this again. I have more. Okay, here we go. So I should. Here we go. All right. Great. Now I should be able to share whatever I want. Okay, so let's show. Now you can see my slides.
Yes.
Thank you. Um, let's show our labyrinths. You know, and I need to. I can't see you. Here, let me see where I am. Yeah, ba, 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 ba. I still can't see you, and now I don't know how to get you. It's just this is really funny because I only have one more window open than usual, but oh boy, is it making a difference here. Okay, no, because I'd like to be able to see you, if you know what I mean. I don't know how to get you back. Hmm.
On mine, there's two tabs, one that says Marianne Wamhoff's screen, and then the other one that says meeting at the top, two little tabs. So maybe, I don't know if that shows up for you.
No, because
Because who knows, with Zoom, it's always
yeah, I've lost you. I'm going to proceed, even though I can't see you. Okay. I mean, if it gets weird, let me know. Um, all right. So, the thing, this is actually because I know you, I feel like I know you, Shonda. Um, it's kind of funny, actually. Okay, now I have to get my side. Okay.
Uh,
There we go. No. Well, maybe I'll stop sharing and see what happens. Ah, there you are. Yay. Okay. Good. All right. And now I can see your labyrinths. Where are they? Yay. Beautiful. Yay. Okay. All right. So here we go. I'm gonna get back to my slides if I can. Okay. Are you seeing my slides? No, because I stopped sharing, right?
Right.
Okay. We did try this out and everything was as smooth as could be. All right, now all I have to do is share. Yep. Oh, but I think are you seeing my slides now?
We are.
You are. Oh, that's so nice. Okay. I'd like to make it big, but I guess I can't. Okay. All right. So today, what we're going to deal with, um, we're celebrating the cross quarter day of Imbolc, and this is associated with Saint Bridget of Kildare, and she's an incredible woman and energy, and because this is also a creation spirituality communities walk. I thought this what is above her window here, Christ dwells in every creature. The Christ energy, the cosmic Christ energy dwells in every creature, every entity. And so Imbolc actually celebrates the lambing. This is traditionally, I don't know if it still is with global warming, but it was the springtime in Ireland when the lambs were in the belly of the ewes and were getting ready to be born. And I wanted two themes, like in the belly, but also on the threshold, because Bridget was born on the threshold. Yeah, here I go. Yeah, now you're big, right? I can't see you, so
Yes, yes.
thank you, Shonda. You know what I'm feeling here. So Bridget was born, the legend goes, and Bridget merges, the saint from about the 500s merges with the goddess from thousands of years ago, which was a very smart thing to occur, But she was, the story goes that she was born on the threshold, the doorway of a barn at dawn. So at the threshold between light and dark, night and day, inside and outside, winter and spring. And it's the halfway point. This is, so to speak, the halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox, at least in the northern hemisphere. And it does celebrate, this feast celebrates the change of seasons, the threshold of time, welcoming lots more light. I've sure noticed it in the mornings especially, but in the evenings too. And then what's hidden in the dark earth's belly is beginning to stir. A friend sent a picture of, little flowers. Of course, she lives in not snowed on and iced on Washington, right? But darkness is giving way to light. Spring is coming. And in my neighborhood, we have ice, but we also, some days we will this week have all temperatures above freezing. So that's kind of nice. So Bridget is jumping all over the place because she's on the threshold. I say that because there's also the legend that she was taken back by angels to be midwife when baby Jesus was born. Who knows? I mean, this is all steeped in, this part of it is steeped in Christianity, but it doesn't not all of it is. And I'm not going to talk about all of it. So let me see now. Okay. So the general information I've already alluded to. Today is the presentation. That's in the Catholic faith. That's when Mary and Joseph took Jesus to the temple. And these mystics, Simeon and Anna, foretold this amazing information about the baby. And I read something recently where you can imagine Mary and Joseph just kind of mouth open. And this writer said, well, this isn't the weirdest thing that's happened to this child. I mean, what about the wise men who showed up with the rich gifts? And what about the angels? And what about this and that, It's Groundhog Day, and I don't even know. I mean, we had sons, so I guess the groundhog saw its shadow, which means we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter. So we've got the lambs. Oh, the white cow represents generosity because the white cow would give milk whenever it was necessary. So Bridget was even as a child, her father was a Druid, her mother was a Christian slave. And so she really was the bridge between these cultures that were on the threshold when she was born. And she'd give away all the milk or all the butter or all the whatever, and instead of getting into trouble, the white cow would just produce more milk, and it would suddenly, everything would be back to normal. It's just kind of nice. And then there's this upper right picture of her cloak, and how when she wanted her monastery, she went to the king and she said, I need land for my monastery. And he laughed. And she went back. She prayed about it, and she went back, and he finally said, okay, you can have. Actually, she said, I just want as much as my cloak can cover. And he said, okay, sure. And so she had four corners, 4 friends who each took a corner, and of course the cloak kept stretching and stretching and stretching all the way to whatever land she had envisioned and needed, right? So I think that's a beautiful, beautiful image of her trusting and just doing her incredible sacred feminine magic, So what I want to do before we go any farther is light a candle if you have one. And if you don't, that's okay. I'll light one for all of us, even those of you who may be watching this YouTube later. I need a little bit of help here. Okay, here we go. To lighten the threshold we're on, because we are on a threshold, perhaps as individuals, but certainly as a society and as a planet. We're at a threshold. And there are good things in the earth ready to be born, and good things in the belly ready to be birthed. And that's what I hope we can remember as we work with this. Now, what I'd like to do now is something I have not done with a labyrinth walk. This is another picture from a wonderful story, Bridget and the Oyster Catchers, which I urge you to investigate on your own. She was running from men who were chasing her, how scared she was. She fell on the beach, exhausted, and these birds, she was so in one with nature. These birds covered her with seaweed and algae and different things, and the men just ran right on by. So she got up and she realized what had happened, and her face had tears on it. And so what I want to do, often in a workshop, we start with a dance, a circle dance. It can be very slow, but it's a circle dance on the labyrinth. I have discovered this wonderful music from Abbey of the Arts, Christine Walters Paintner. This is from a book of her poetry, The Wisdom of Wild Grace, and her poem, St. Bridget and the Oyster Catchers. But what we're going to do now is listen to Betsy Beckman teach us how to do, basically it's a hand dance, to a nice song called Bridget's Birds by Margaret McClarty. And so I'm going to take us away from here, and I want to start this. I've never shown a video before, but we practice this too. I have faith that this is going to work. So the instruction takes about 11 minutes, which is kind of long. The music is about 7 minutes. I hope you like it. You'll have to really give me your opinion. So here we go. I'm going to share this. All right. And have you got my video? Yeah? Can you see it?
Yes, we can see.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you. Shonda, I don't know what I'd do if you weren't here. Okay, so here we go. All right. Birds are coming up. Dancing with Bridget.
Hello, my friends. Are you ready to step across the threshold? Well, I'm here to explore that possibility with you, what that might feel like. And here today, we're going to have Saint Bridget as our guide, someone who has a lot of wisdom about thresholds and would like to invite us into a practice of what that might look like. So it so happens that we're here today on the island of Iona. And this beautiful island has a rich, rich history in Celtic tradition. Perhaps you've even visited this island. Here, the monks arrived ages ago and began their daily rhythms of monastic prayer, so close to the earth. And just within this decade, another young monk, we might call her a friend of ours, Margaret McClarty, she came to the island of Iona. And she spent 2 years here in rhythm of prayer, in service to all of those who come to the current Iona community. And her life was shaped so deeply by this time. And then as she prepared to go forth and to make that transition, to go across that threshold in her life, she called upon the gift of song to reflect on what that meant to her, what she was being called to and what she was leaving behind. So here on the island of Iona, she walked to the North Beach, where there's a wonderful beach called the White Strand, which is the monks' beach. So that's where I'm going to invite you today with me. And on that beach, one often encounters a special bird called the oyster catcher. It's also known as Bridget's bird, or the guide of Bridie. Bridie is one of the ancient names for Bridget. So there's a legend about Bridget's bird, which is that, well, there are actually a variety of legends, but the first part is that Bridget was being pursued, and she was running away from her captors, and she was exhausted. She got to the beach, and she lay down, and the oyster catchers came and covered her with bits of seaweed and debris so that she became one with the beach. Her pursuers ran by. So she was saved by these birds, and in gratitude for their gift to her, she marked them with the cross of Christ. And then, as time went on, when the sailors would be out at sea in rough weather and wouldn't know their way home, she would send Bridget's bird, or the guide of Bridie, out to the sailors to lead them home. So she has a beautiful image for us with this bird. And this is what Margaret picked up on. And she called upon the oyster catcher to guide her through this song and through that time in her life. So I would like to invite you to dance with me this song. And we'll be calling upon all these images. So for this particular dance, I'm going to invite us into a practice that comes from interplay. And interplay is a wonderful community and a philosophy that's been quite formative for me. And I like to draw elements of that into our work here at Abbey of the Arts. So in interplay, there's a kind of dance known as a one-hand dance. So it's quite simple, but it's an improvisational one-hand dance. A bit later in this series, I will teach you particular gesture dances that you can join with me. But this one is more open-ended. So we can ask Bridget and her birds to help us know how our hand might dance in this place of the unknown. So for this piece, let's practice what it might be. You can simply dance with your hand, or if you happen to have a feather, I'm going to invite you to dance with a feather, since a feather is such an amazing gift of the birds that's strong and light. So let's see what that might look like. Either with your hand or with your feather. Let's try a few moves together. So let's begin by just moving your hand in a smooth way. And then let's try moving smoothly and quickly. Great. And now let's move in a jerky or staccato way. And now jerky and slow. Great. Now let's see, how much room do you have around you to move? Let's explore the space around your body. And make a shape up in the air with your hand or feather, and then change your shape. Change your shape. And one more time. Great. And then let your hand come to rest on a part of your body. Just breathe with that. And then another part of your body. And one more. Great. Okay, so those are some things that you can do with your hand and a feather, but there are a lot more of things. In actuality, you might want to begin this dance with just your hand moving, but if you are inclined or inspired, you might at some point find that your hand starts to take you somewhere. Perhaps your arms become wings. Perhaps you are reaching, circling, coming down, coming up, moving through space. If this begins to happen, keep going with it. See where it takes you. See where Bridie takes you. And as you're continuing to let this dance unfold, there are a few images that I'd like to invite you to contemplate in movement. So the song starts with Bridget's birds darting arrows in the sky. So the sky imagery to begin with. The second paragraph talks about being a monk on the white strand. The third one, the stars shining bright, the fire burning low. The galaxies spiraling through the universe. The water and how in the water carries our blood, our tears, our stories. So the flow of water. We have the land, the earth, and even a contemplation of death as we return to the earth. There's a section of farewell, of honoring the end. And finally, I'm going to invite you to consider allowing the feather or your hand to give you a blessing. Just as the birds blessed Bridget and then she blessed them with a cross. So at some point, you can bless yourself or any part of yourself that might need some grace, some healing, some gift from that great spirit that inspires. So that's our song, that's our dance, and I'm going to invite you to dance with me on the white strand of the monks and to allow Bridget to be your guide as you step across the threshold. The oyster catcher is a much beloved bird found on the shores of western Scotland and on this special monk's beach on the north edge of Iona. Legend has it that when St. Bridget was being pursued on the beach, she was saved by oyster catchers who covered her with seaweed. In gratitude, St. Bridget gave them her name and blessed these black and white birds with the sign of the cross that appears on their chest. And ever since then, in rough weather, Bridget sends these special messengers out to guide sailors to safety.
Bridget's birds mark my way, darting arrows in the sky, and the north wind she dances with them, giving wings to their cry. And I could be a monk, alone on this white strand. I see those who'll come after me, and I'm waiting for them to land. And the stars shine bright as the fire burns low. How can we ever go back to what we used to know? History of galaxies unraveling in the night. Will the land hold our memory like the sky holds light and life? If your blood is in the ocean, tears melody for his soul. And you say, don't be afraid. And you say, well, we're all leaving anyway. And you say, your life comes at the end. Well, this is the end. Bridget's birds mark my way. And the stars shine bright as the fire burns low. We'll never come this way again, that much I know.
I hope that was okay.
It was beautiful.
We'll talk about it some more. So there's a chat. Okay. Thank you, Link. I can't always see you. I just read your chat. So what I'd like to do now is actually begin the land acknowledgement for the for our walk. Which means I want to go back to my screen. All right. So I learned from this fine elder, this wise elder, Diane Longboat Habnosani, a Mohawk leader, that thanks, an invocation of thanks should be given before anything important is ever started. And then I learned, recently, yeah. So Robin Wall Kimmerer, she talked about kinship. And she's this amazing mother, plant ecologist, writer, State University of New York distinguished teaching professor at the SUNY College of Environmental Science and Forestry in Syracuse. She serves as the founding director of the Center of Native Peoples and the Environment. But most importantly for us today, she teaches that kinship begins with paying attention to all the more than human beings around us. And when we do this, we develop a gift thinking, seeing how truly blessed we are. And that leads us to gratitude and thinking of these beings as our own kin. Therefore, we want to pay more attention to them, and the beautiful cycle continues, which I think is just what Mother Earth needs now. And so, because we and labyrinths are connected to both place, this earth, and the entire universe, and people, one another, we want to deepen this connection and now begin by walking this first path of creation spirituality with awe and thanksgiving, gratitude. And I honor the cosmos. 13.81 billion years old. The observable universe is 93 billion light years across, constantly expanding at a speed that exceeds the speed of light. Our common story is very big and very old, very wise, and very, very creative. I honor our container, our context, our matrix, our context, our cosmos. And then I honor our matrix, our home, the earth. And I read from the Thanksgiving address of the Mohawks. Let us put our minds together as one and send greetings and thanks to our Mother Earth, who sustains our lives with her many gifts. I learned from Judy Shook, the traditional Cherokee associations with the directions, which she learned from her grandfather. So and you can turn around and face the directions if you choose to while we're doing this together. I honor the north. When I look north to the earth of which I'm made, I thank you, earth. And when I look east to the air within my lungs, I thank you, air. Please breathe with me, that we can breathe with our lungs. When I look south to the warmth of the sacrificing sun that enables photosynthesis of plants, I thank you, sun. I look west to water without which we would die, and I thank you, water. The stars above us provide the dust which forms the calcium of our bones. Thank you, stars. The minerals and microbes and mycelial systems beneath us provide unseen grounding and essential communication. Thank you, foundation. The soul within me yearns to acknowledge and come into balance with the web of which I'm just such a very, very tiny part. I'm so grateful. I honor the plant beings and the animal beings. I honor indigenous peoples before we begin, for their memory is the correct starting point for human history on earth. They were the original custodians of this land. They held ceremony for eons. And here where I live in central Virginia, in the eastern foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountain biosphere, I honor the Monacans, the largest tribe in Virginia today. I regret that you had to fight in U.S. courts to define your ancestral homeland. Thank you for your wisdom. I hold the deepest gratitude and respect for the wisdom of all of our indigenous neighbors, past, present, and emerging. I honor the Blue Ridge ecoregion and I invite the ancestral spirits to guard and bless this place, this circle, this labyrinth walk, this work, this studying, this enlightenment. I invite the angels of light to safeguard all walkers, all of us, and all seekers. I thank the great mystery who conceived this, who became this, and who remains with us. We are so grateful. And so I know I've done quite a bit of talking and the dance took a while, but there's a lovely, it's in the chapter called Thresholds in John O'Donohue's book, To Bless the Space Between Us. This is the English title. It might be called Benedictimus or something like that in Ireland. It's a book of blessings, and this is to learn from animal beings. And I thought that was really appropriate, seeing how Bridget was one, and the birds came to her assistance. Anyway, here we go. You might want to close your eyes and just take it in. Nearer to the earth's heart, deeper within its silence. Animals know this world in a way we never will. We who are ever distanced and distracted by the parade of bright windows, thought opens. Their seamless presence is not fractured thus. Stranded between time gone and time emerging, we seldom manage to be right where we are. Whereas they are always looking out from the here and now. May we learn to return and rest in the beauty of animal being. Learn to lean low, leave our locked minds, and with freed senses feel the earth breathing with us. May we enter into lightness of spirit and slip frequently into the feel of the wild. Let the clear silence of our animal being cleanse our hearts of corrosive words. May we learn to walk upon the earth with all their confidence and clear-eyed stillness, so that our minds might be baptized in the name of the wind and the light and the rain. And so this will be our music, about 8 minutes perhaps. We'll still have some time for sharing, a little time for sharing. So I invite you to circle your labyrinth in a clockwise motion, maybe 3 times, and walk, and I'll bring you back when we're finished. Have a good walk. I'd like to read something that Jan Richardson wrote for the end of this walk. May the power of Bridget inspire you, the grace of Bridget attend you, the flame of Bridget enliven you, the story of Bridget engage you. May the God who provides her all these gifts provide them also to us, that we may go into the world with her lavish generosity and her creative fire. And I'm going to blow out the candle just so we don't forget to do that. Thanking. I'm going to take the light into my mind and my voice and my heart and my hands, and send it to anybody who watches this YouTube or any of other labyrinth circles. I think there are lots of walks today. Okay. I'm so glad that y'all showed up. And do you want to share anything before we go on our way? Anything came to you? Any threshold you felt yourself crossing, or anything ready to be birthed from your belly?
The energy of the threshold is very fascinating, and the notion of being birthed on a threshold, that's an incredibly powerful imprint onto someone's blueprint of existence. I mean, that it causes it to permeate a person's existence in a very, very unique way. And whether or not that story is actually true, the fact that we think of it and remember it in that way, especially if you consider that we experience time linearly, but it's not actually linear. So the fact that we believe it and think of it and talk about it actually projects that energy onto her existence. And that has its own aspect of truth, aside from the event itself. Shonda and I are in the process of getting our organization, Labyrinth Connection, started. So this threshold and this concept of birthing things is incredibly timely for us right now, because we're getting ready to have our very first public event on Valentine's Day. We just, which is at Best Friends. I don't know if you're familiar with the organization Best Friends Animal.
Oh, I think I have heard of it. I think I have.
So they actually have a place nearby here, and we're gonna have our first labyrinth walking event there. And we just applied for 501(c)(3) status, and so we're waiting to hear back from that. So I mean, talk about being on the threshold. Like, we've applied and we're waiting for an answer. Um, so anyway, just and the story about Bridget was also incredibly powerful and very, um, in the raising of consciousness that we're experiencing, that's one of the things that is becoming more prominent in our awareness, is our connection with animals, and why, um, that how we go about interacting with them on a societal level. People are becoming more aware of our interaction with the animal kingdom, and so that's a very poignant tale of humans and animals supporting each other. And it's also very interesting what came to my mind in the use of the feather um, is the quill pen, right? So the feather is one of the the feather was part of the transition of information becoming written in our society. And it was one of the very first ways that human beings were able to actually construct thoughts in a way. Writing was very powerful as far as how much and how we were able to record information and pass it forward to our fellow humans. And I had never really thought about birds being a part of that until I had that feather. And the feather that I had came from a bird locally. I found that in the woods out behind the house here. And so, anyway, just a lot of things coming together, as it always does with the Labyrinth Walk.
Mm. Thank you for sharing, Link. I was so afraid that it was going to be like, "Pfft, nobody will like this hand jive, and what you're, Nathan, you were you going to say something?
No, I think that you should talk to Michael and the others on the First Sunday committee to you possibly use this as a body prayer
Yeah,
practice.
yeah. Did you think it was too long, the instruction part or the dance part?
No, I enjoyed it personally, but
Thanks. Okay. I probably didn't have to do my little bit. You heard the story of the oyster catchers 3 times, So I should have done a little differently. Shonda, would you like to share anything?
Yes, so I really loved in the beginning what really resonated with me was when you were talking about not just the threshold, but the meaning of the threshold between darkness and light and, um, you know, indoors and outdoors and, all of the, the contrast and kind of that midpoint. And the word that came to mind to me was edge walker. And I feel very much like I am on a threshold. I've 25 years in a corporate career and I'm looking towards retirement in a couple of years. So that feels like a new threshold to me and what's beyond the that threshold. And I feel like right now in just human consciousness we're also edge walking. We're walking the edge between the old consciousness and the new consciousness, and as that evolves and bringing in, moving from letting go of some darkness and allowing more light in. And so it really resonated with me, and I loved the movement because, especially in handheld labyrinth walking, sometimes you don't get the kinetic, the somatic connection as much. And so this was a really lovely experience to combine that. And so I just appreciate you for being brave to do something a little different. I like it. I like it. So thank you.
Thank,
Thank you very
thank you,
much.
Shonda. When you were speaking just now, I had this realization that yes, the threshold is the point of contrast that you mentioned again, Shonda, but also being on the threshold is a both and. You get you yes, the duality is there, but because you're on the threshold, you get rid of the duality. I really liked that. Nathan, would you like to plug any upcoming events?
oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't
no,
come.
no, no, that's fine. I'm trying to think. Yours, your a different kind of fast for Lent is really the biggest thing that we have coming up. So I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Well, it starts next week for folks who want to spend time spring cleaning, body and soul. this is a good season that lots of different faith traditions do taking assessment during this time, and stepping into some new practices, and this is again, it's kind of what we did in Advent. It's another Christine Walters Paintner book, where you release maybe multitasking, and you embrace things like simplicity. So it's she couples it with if you're interested in any of the practices of contemplative walking or sacred visioning or reading, you can do that, but it's really up to you which pieces you choose. So that's starting on the 11th, which is a week before the traditional Christian season of Lent begins, and we're taking off the 18th, and then we'll meet every Wednesday until after Easter. So if you're interested, that's on cscommunities.org and on our calendar. That's where you get it. We'll do some dancing. So tonight was sort of a trying that out. Thank you for being brave with me, Shonda and Link. It's always good to see you. Send me a bunch of dates in March, and I'll just tell you when, like, there's a chance I'll be free on at least one of them. I'd like to do that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Anything else anybody needs to say or ask or anything?
I just want to tell you I'm the one who potted the spider plant. I absolutely love it, and it is thriving so well. And I had been hoping for a spider plant, and so it was lovely when it showed up.
Oh, great. And I really admire that you guys are already applying for your 403 or whatever it is, 501, whatever you did.
Yeah.
That hangs, that's like in the realm of my shadow. And I like, please don't make me
Well,
do that, even though that would be really good to do someday.
good luck. I'm going through it too, and if we get a response before it's been 12 months, I'll be shocked, but
Well, yours is a bigger enterprise, perhaps. I don't
yeah.
I don't know, but
I-
good luck. I know you have got good energy there. So look forward to seeing you again and crossing paths.